being a writer and activist appearing alongside an international sex symbol, but I think that Pamela has handled it extremely well. I don't know why this woman in the front is laughing. Okay, smoke them if you got them. I'm tired of being treated like a piece of meat. Okay? I'm tired of being appreciated only for form and no substance. Some of the guys here go to the gym and they work on their six-pack. I, as a Jew who believes in unity above all else, have a mono-pack. E pluribus unum. From the many, there shall be one. Three misconceptions that we will briefly address. Because I only have 15 minutes, that's the bad news. The worst news is it's a Jewish 15 minutes. You guys may be here straight through to Hillary. Oh, Hillary this year has a double connotation, by the way. That's interesting. The first, that marriage is sexless and it sucks. Samuel Dryden buried his wife here in England in 1787, and on her actual tombstone he wrote, "Here lies my wife, here let her lie. Now she's at peace, and so am I." Helen Rowland, marriage is whereby a woman exchanges the attention of many men for the inattention of one. Woody Allen, it's no surprise my marriage failed. I always tended to place my wife under a pedestal. Now, is that true that the central institution of our society has become utterly passionless and can't be rescued? Misconception number two. Men are much more sexual than women. The man says to his wife, "How about some sex tonight?" And she looks back at him and says, "Not tonight, I have a headache." And yet the man can have an axe lodged in his head. He can have an axe in his head and he's still ready. Honey, you sure you want to go through with this? I don't know how to tell you this, but you've got an axe in your head. So what? Is your sister also here? Women are much more sexual than men. Women are multi-orgasmic. Men are uni-orgasmic. You're making love to a guy, and 1 second he's promising you a life ever after, and the next moment you are in bed with a corpse. He is dead. You're not calling the wedding planner. You're not calling the wedding planner. You are calling the Undertaker. What killed female sexuality and the female attachment to romance, love, and marriage, such that 50% of divorces in the Western world, and 50% divorce rate in the Western world, you've heard that, but 75% are initiated by wives who would rather be alone than be with this guy who doesn't make love to them, doesn't focus on them, doesn't pay attention to them. What killed the female libido, the female interest in romance? I want to prove to you how bad it's gotten. This is a test. It is a serious test. It is a question directed to the women only. If you're unsure of your gender, that's okay. But this is a question that is addressed to the women. Can you raise your hand if you can listen very carefully? Raise your hand if you are a woman in this audience who, listen carefully, needs a man. Now before you answer, I did not ask you to raise your hand if you can stomach a man. Less so did I ask you to raise your hand if you can survive a man. Raise your hand if you need a man. Don't overwhelm me all at once. One woman needs a man. And that's because you're sitting next to your brother, all right? You need a man? You're the only 2 women who need a man. You're sitting next to my wife, so that's not fair. That's like security in numbers. 2 women out of a few hundred need a man. Okay, fair enough. Now, follow up to the women again. Raise your hand if you need a refrigerator. Raise your hand. That's amazing. Now, why would you confess a dependency on a piece of metal that can cool your milk rather than a piece of flesh that could warm and electrify your heart? The answer? Because GE brings good things to life, right? Unbelievable. Women are so turned off with guys, they find it a sign of weakness to confess any attachment to a man. That's astonishing. I was raised on stories of like Snow White being kissed by the prince, and I was raised on stories of Disney cartoons of love, and this is what we come to. This cynicism that women will not even confess any desire to be strongly attached to him. If it works out, if he's the right kind of man. Finally, the death of sex in our time. Is anyone here familiar? I'm not sure about the UK statistics as much, but what is the rate of sex between a married couple in the United States? Anyone want to venture a guess? What is the frequency of sex between a married couple in the United States? Anyone?
Once a month.
Once a month? Okay, when you get married, you just want a free counseling. Give me your email address. Once a month. By the way, the British guys are hearing that. Once a month? Oh my God, what are all these men? The American men are Superman? Do they all have like a Viagra drip? Anyone else? Go ahead. 3 times a week? Haven't you ever heard of television? 3 times a week? It's actually once a week for 7 minutes at a time. This is true. 7 minutes at a time, which includes the time he spends begging. It's 7 minutes of sex a week is not a lot of sex. Okay, so what do we have? We have the death of marriage. We have the nadir of female sexuality and dependency on men, and women getting turned off of men, and finally, we have the death of sex itself. Was that what the sexual revolution promised? That people would no longer believe in love? That women would feel alienated from men, and that sex itself would die? Is it not time that we began to repudiate the sexual revolution itself? It kind of failed. What kind of revolution doesn't give you sex? So here, in the last moments remaining to me, tonight, what's the date again? Someone help me? I've been traveling so much, I really don't know. It's October
15th.
Thank you. You're on October 15th, 2016, in the Oxford Union Chamber in Oxford, where I lived for 11 years. 6 of my 9 children were born here. We've had 30 cents. That was a joke, by the way. Here, on October 15th, 2016, in the Oxford Union Chamber, one man will finally provide the solution to all the wrecked and cynical relationships. One man will answer the question of how to create love. And why? Because this man is no ordinary man. I am no ordinary rabbi. I am the love prophet. Or in Hebrew, the love prophet. My name is Shmuley. It's an uncommon name. It's a contraction of 2 Hebrew words. Shmu from the Hebrew root word shamu, meaning killer whale. And Lee from the root word Pamela Anderson Lee, larger than life Jewish sex icon. Now I gotta tell you, I used to use that line when I launched Kosher Sex as a book here at Oxford in 1998. And Pamela was still married at the time, so it worked. Now, I can't say my name is Schmlanderson. That's not gonna work. So the Pamela Anderson thing, I just want you to know, I always use that line. Pamela and I have teamed up to address these 3 things. And to kind of, and by the way, you have to understand the courage of this woman sitting before you. Here you have a woman, internationally famous for her beauty, for her attractiveness, but I've discovered in our friendship a woman of grace, refinement, Insight, wisdom, and above all else, courage. It is not easy being an international sex symbol and coming out and saying there's a way that women ought to be treated. There are things that will happen in a culture that will extinguish the female libido. There is a portrayal of women that when it becomes too extreme actually subverts lust and creates complacency. Pornography is only a part of it. But why specifically pornography? Why did it kill off things like marriage, female sexuality, female libido, and finally sex itself? I'll tell you, it's easy. Love and sex are not connected. You can love someone and not have sex with them. Hopefully, that's true of most of your relationships. It is lust and sex which are connected. We were never supposed to create love marriages. We were supposed to create lust marriages. That's why the 10th commandment says, thou shalt not lust after thy neighbor's wife, because you sure as heck ought to be lusting after your own. Now, how do you create lust? Love is created through total openness, constant exposure, shared experiences, shared values. Lust is precisely the opposite. Lust is created through 3 rules. Number 1, unavailability, not constant availability. Number 2, mystery as opposed to full disclosure. And number 3, I'll get to number 3 in a moment because this can be a test for the guys, but I want to prove it to you. I'm holding in my hands an iPhone 7. I am a paid spokesman of Apple Computer. I'm actually not. I wish I were, but I deserve to be. This is the most sought-after consumer product on the face of the earth, and has been for about 10 years. Is it the technology? Gosh, you guys are not reading my private messages, right? Is it the technology? The Samsung's pretty good technology, if it doesn't blow up on your airplane. It's not the technology. It's that Steve Jobs was a genius who understood that lust was an ethereal concept that could be superimposed on anything, not just flesh, as long as you abided by 3 principles. He didn't want you to love his phone the way you love your car. He wanted you to lust after his phone and to wait online to buy one the way that Romeo waited outside of Juliet's porch. What are the 3 rules of lust? Number 1, what did he do with the phone? A, unavailability. Make it impossible to buy the darn thing. Get people talking about, do you get one? Can I buy one? Stand in line for 10 hours? He purposely limited the number of product in his stores so that you had to lust for what you could not have. Number 2, Apple became the first consumer company ever to go hyper-mysterious in what they were producing. They never talk about their product. I'm sure you remember when one unfortunate engineer left his iPhone 4 in a bar in Cupertino, California, where Apple's headquartered. He was fired instantly. Mysteriousness. And number 3, forbiddenness. Question for the guys. You're on a beautiful Mediterranean beach. There are thousands of women, hundreds, thousands, walking around in bikinis, scantily clad, not wearing a lot of, I want you to visualize this as much as you can. Walking around, scantily clad. Gentlemen, is that a sexy scene? Yeah, that's pretty sexy. Women, beautiful bodies, bikinis, that's pretty sexy. Men love going to beaches. Follow-up question. Is it erotic? Is it erotic? Of course it's not erotic. How do you know a beach is not erotic? Because what do men do at a beach? 2 things. They either play frisbee or they fall asleep. Oh my God, thousands of women in bikinis and stuff. Now, you're walking home from the beach and you're passing the apartment of one woman who accidentally left the blinds to her bedroom open. And she's wearing the same amount of clothing that a woman would wear at a beach, only this time it's her undergarments. One woman, and now you're walking by and you see a woman walking around in undergarments. She left the blinds open. Question, what does